This is the Little Moments Count radio podcast, created in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. Each episode, you'll hear interviews with early childhood experts on how to support the important brain development that takes place in the first 1,000 days of life, just through little moments every day. Learn more at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.
FM 89.9 KMOJ, no doubt, ladies and gentlemen. Walter Q. Bear Banks Jr. got you on the afternoon drive and letting you know that Little Moments Count. That's right, this afternoon's drive time is brought to you by Little Moments Count and in partnership with Little Moments Count and Minnesota Public Radio. Little Moments Count is a statewide collaborative focusing on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of brain development in the first 3 years of one's life. Even beyond that, we're also letting you know that when it comes to the opportunity of a young person and playing and also reading and singing, the list goes on to that pathway of building that brain and getting those solutions of that touch and feel kind of thing to work and be in place. So letting you know the Little Moments Count, you can lock in at littlemomentscount.org for more information. And on the phone line, I'd like to say good afternoon to Khulia Pringle. Good afternoon, and how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Q-Bear?
About 6'3" and chilling. No question about that part. For the listening audience, can you just give us a little bit of insight about yourself? I know that you are the executive director for Stand Up Minnesota Parents United and also the founder of Khulia Pringle, MA Consulting. So break those two down for us real quick.
Absolutely. So at Stand Up Minnesota Parents United is a parent-led organization that puts families at the center of change in education. We work with parents, especially Black and brown families, to build leadership, challenge inequities, and then make sure their voices are heard in schools, in policy, and in decision-making at the heart. If we believe families know what their kids need, and we help them stand in that power. And then I also co-chair the Minnesota Literacy Coalition, along with Minneapolis Public Schools and Great Minnesota Schools.
So now, can you give us just a little bit of insight when it comes to the space that you're in and dealing with youngsters and youth, and what got you started into it?
Yeah, well, I used to be a teacher. I'm an educator by trade. And so I just noticed the need as I was teaching and also speaking with Black and brown families. There was a need for one-on-one advocacy support. So I've been doing that for the last 8 years, providing one-on-one support. So that could be, anything from bullying to, suspensions to special education, finding a new school, literacy, all those things from birth to 12th grade. We support families, and then that prenatal through age 3 is when a child's brain is developing faster than any other time in life, and it's the foundation for everything, learning behavior and relationships, even how we handle stress. So if we want to give our kids the best shot of success in school and life, we have to start early, and we have to start with families.
Now, when it comes to families, there's a mother, there's a father. It takes two to put it all together to make that young one. So in the process of that, what are some of the things that you would say for a parent in order to help that youngster to grow and develop? Because, there's always that thing they talk about behavior and that aspect of it. But then I'm also one of those that believe in, you can give them all of everything, but then they still develop in their own way as they get older. So give us just a little bit about that side of it for parenting.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be overwhelming when it comes to parents. And when we say parents, we also mean caregivers, right? Because we also know that families look differently. Could be grandma, could be auntie, could be foster care system. All of those people who are involved in raising kids have to, just be a little bit more aware, especially in our community. Literacy is so fundamental. That is like the key that determines if a child is going to be successful or not. And it is just so the need for parent involvement in those early years can be tough. And then, we try to support families with one-on-one coaching, group workshops, and trusted info on things like early learning, emotions, and navigating system like early intervention. We also work with doulas and birth workers because support doesn't start at birth, it starts during pregnancy, and we try to keep it culturally rooted. One of the things I'm really strong on when it comes to responding in Black and brown communities is that the people that is doing the advocacy work also looks like the people that needs the support. So, yeah.
So then locking it in from a cultural perspective, when you talk about Black and brown, and you're talking about growth and you're talking about starting at a very young age, we got a lot of parents out there that sometimes they, because being a parent, there's a difference between being a mother or father, being a parent, being, some people say donors and that kind of thing. And that's a negative side that I look at it from when they talk about it. I'm saying that if you have the child, you have a responsibility. And so being that responsible one, what would you say to a parent that's out there that's struggling with that aspect of it, but want to make sure that their child grows up to be who they are going to be?
I would just say get to know the term, the science of reading. Science of reading, science of reading, science of reading, dyslexia, science of reading. Those two words, if you put in your search engine, there's going to be so many resources from birth to at least sixth grade. When it comes to tutoring, when it comes to early childhood support, there's so many resources because, unfortunately, white mothers have been in this struggle as well. And they have been fighting for a long time to put these services in place for families. And if we just aren't aware of those services, we aren't aware of those terms. So I would just say for the folks that's listening out there, research the term science of reading and research the term dyslexia resources. And I promise you, there's so much out there and so much knowledge to be learned.
So now if one that's listening right now and they're hearing you and they want to get in contact with you, is there a number? Is there a website or something, that you go by that contacts directly to you?
Absolutely. My email is KHULIA PRINGLE standupmpu.org. And so that's Khulia Pringle, my first name. If you do a Google search, that'll also get to you the way you need to go. My website is under construction right now, but you can also reach me at 651-432-1821. That's 651-432-1821. And again, my email is my first name, KHULIA, last name PRINGLE, standupmpu.org.
And also there's that four-letter word that I always use is love. And give us just a little something for parents out there, because it is about having that youngster and helping them to develop and grow. But then what would you say to some parent out there that may be struggling with it or may not be, that using that four-letter word, what would you say in a lineup of growth?
At the end of the day, we invest in families. We invest in the future. Every child deserves to be seen, supported, and set up for success. And from the very beginning, and if we're here to make sure no parent has to do that alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, no question about it. We're talking to Khulia Pringle. And I want to say thank you very much for the time and the opportunity. And tell Pops I said hello.
I will. Thank you.
No doubt, no doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, also letting you know that Little Moments Count is brought to you by littlemomentscount.org. You can lock in there to get more information or a recording of what you just heard as well. But it's brought to you on by Little Moments Count and Minnesota Public Radio and 89.9 KMOJ. Y'all keep it right where it's at, where the listening is definitely good.
Thanks for listening to the Little Moments Count radio podcast in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. You can find the Little Moments Count radio podcast wherever you get your podcasts and at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.